Well, good morning and welcome. Have you ever caught yourself in some kind of a reflective time where maybe you looked back at something you said or did and thought to yourself that you didn't display the most kind and loving attitude toward that person? Maybe you made some kind of snippy remark toward someone because of a perceived failure on their part. Maybe you took some action that let others know that you weren't going to allow anyone to get the best of you. Well, you know what I'm talking about. Those times when, on reflection, you realize you didn't love your neighbor. You didn't treat others as you wanted to be treated. You didn't allow yourself to be a servant instead of one being served. In other words, you acted like a total heel, someone that no one wants to be around. Well, we've all been there. I've been there. Recently, in fact. The latest, well, I carped at an electrician who came to the church today to install some extra outlets. I carped at him because on Monday, when I made the service request, I asked the woman taking the request to let us know when we were placed on his schedule and when the electrician might be here. So when I come to work today about 9 o'clock, I see the electrician truck in the parking lot and the man was waiting for me. But I had no clue that he was coming today because no one contacted me to let me know. Now, I know the electrician only goes where and when he's scheduled, so he didn't have anything to do with the lack of communication. But he got some pushback from me anyway. I should have apologized to him, but for some reason I didn't. He was, however, the convenient scapegoat. By far, most of those who do work at the church let me know enough ahead of time that I can plan adequately. This electrical service, however, even though they do great work, they're really kind of bad about not letting us know ahead of time. Several times I've asked them just to let me know, but most of the time, just like today, it doesn't happen. Yes, we could find another electrician, but we know the quality of work this one does, and we know that their rates are reasonable and their work is in accordance with code. They're familiar with the building and the work they've done here previously, so most likely we'll keep them on. We'll continue to hope that they give us some advance notice sometimes. Christian scriptures are filled with exhortations, examples, and stories having to do with how we relate to one another, even in difficult situations, or if we believe we've somehow been wronged. As I mentioned before, we're told to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. We're told to treat others as we would want to be treated. We are to always let our speech be gracious. And several places in the Proverbs speaks about our speech. Here's just one, and I quote, "Pleasant words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones." Well, you get the idea. Perhaps more importantly, our thoughts before, during, and after an unpleasant conversation betray the rise of our selfish, prideful selves within us. Those characteristics of our old sinful nature that we constantly battle to keep in check. And we lose those battles sometimes. We flip back to a prior existence. We fail to fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. Instead, we say and do what feels good at the moment, regardless of the fallout that might result. Well, those times when we snip at the wife, or we berate a child, maybe we yell at someone who cut us off in traffic or failed to use their blinker, or we argue needlessly with a coworker. We're guilty. We're guilty of failing to demonstrate the love and patience of Jesus. These are the times when we need to think about how patient Jesus is with us, and then share that patience and forbearance with those that we encounter in everyday life and living. As the psalmist says so eloquently, "The Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, and abounding in loving devotion." It isn't worth it. It isn't worth the stress. It isn't worth the damaged relationships. It isn't worth the regret after the fact. Kindness and compassion go hand in hand with patience and, yes, forbearance. I learned something from that interaction, and hopefully I'll also remember it. And may you receive a blessing this day as you demonstrate these qualities of patience and forbearance toward others. Blessings.